A couple of days ago, I think Martin Pebu was on News File where he was talking about we've gotten to a stage in our democracy where the only way we can move forward is more protests and more demonstrations on the streets. And there's a truth or justice in that. We have a nation of over 30 million people, which is served by less than 2,000 lawyers on a day to day. Of that, the vast majority are persons who provide their services to corporate law firms. There are very few lawyers who are in fact human rights lawyers. There are very few lawyers in the business of public interest litigation. It is unimaginable to expect that on every public issue, things that affect people's lives on a day-to-day, that the vast majority of the 30 million Ghanaians would end up in our courts. It's impracticable. One of the ways in which so many people in our democracy can show their sense of outrage, can demand questions or answers about things affecting their life, is being able to show that form on the streets. That I put this idea out there on social media and invited young people that we need to do more demonstrations. And the overwhelming response is that the police are going to kill us. Our democratic experience is diminished if our citizens fear for their lives whenever they want to have a conversation with their states, when they have to demand more for how we are governed. The idea that Ghanaians can die at the hands of the police establishment does not jive with our image as a democracy. And there's no democracy that has survived where citizens, by participating in the active role of holding their governments to account, would have the fear of death. This is what the conversations we're having about. And how do we change that culture? How are we able to engage in our institutions in a way that is respectful of our lives? But there's something I continue saying, that if our lives mean nothing to the people who govern us, how much more our hunger? And it starts from there. Nothing imperils a democracy more than the fact that people will lose their lives in the process of demanding better. That is the conversation we want to be able to have with our state. And if we are unable to solve this fundamental question about a democracy, then we in fact do not have a democracy. What we have is a police state. And the language of having a police state is not language that is used lightly. Because the police become the outmost foot soldiers of governmental repression. And if we cannot demand answers from them, we cannot demand anything from our government.